Everyone's talking about AI right now, but very few companies are actually ready to use AI properly. In this video, I'll break down the 4 layers of AI readiness so you can see exactly where your business stands and what to fix first. The first major point that I want to make is about data readiness. Data is one of the foundations of essentially every AI system, but this is one of the areas where most companies are the weakest. Most companies still have fragmented, messy, incomplete, or inaccessible data. As I've talked about in other videos, AI systems typically depend on clean, well-structured data, either for operations and context as a AI system is trying to make better decisions, or for things like AI training. Most AI systems, even things like chatbots and AI agents, need some level of training to work really well inside of business workflows. As the saying goes, garbage in, garbage out. So if you have messy or incomplete or inconsistent data, it's going to be very difficult to build AI systems that actually work and actually deliver value inside of your company. The next part of AI readiness: talent, skills, and culture. In terms of skills, you need to remember that AI is dependent on a variety of other skill areas. I already talked about data, but I'll reemphasize here that AI systems, in one way or another, often depend on data. Even if you're using a large language model inside of your business, they often benefit from external data like documents or maybe access to databases as additional context about your business and operations. So, having people that understand data, how to collect it, clean it, format it, analyze it to make sure that the data is complete or otherwise useful for an AI system, you need people with data skills. It also helps to have people with machine learning skills inside of your business. Remember, almost all modern AI is based on machine learning. Remember, machine learning is teaching machines how to improve their performance by exposing them to data. Remember what I just said about data? Well, one of the ways that we use data is to train AI systems to improve their performance over time. That requires training experience. Another way of saying that is that requires understanding of how to use machine learning techniques to improve AI performance. And then modern AI concepts and skills, things like agent architectures, large language models, RAG systems, AI engineering. So these skills I think are going to be important not just for frontline workers. I actually think a basic understanding and literacy in these areas is going to become increasingly important for people at the executive level. If you're an executive and you don't understand how an AI system works, but you want to deploy those things at scale to help you save costs or increase productivity, improve decision making, etc., you are going to be relying on a lot of other people and you're essentially going to be flying blind. So I think that executives are going to need basic literacy in data, machine learning, AI concepts, etc. I also think that many of the strongest teams are going to have a mixture of AI and machine learning expertise alongside deep domain expertise. I don't want to get into this too much right now, but I'll say that in many cases, large language models and AI systems often provide kind of bad responses if you don't have a lot of expertise. Just a couple of days ago, I was asking it questions about some AI tools and techniques, but I didn't give it a lot of context, and ChatGPT was giving me very incomplete answers that were kind of half right and half wrong. And I had to spend a lot more time going through and giving it additional context, explaining different details of the project, explaining what I wanted, explaining some of the constraints, and so on. And I could only do that because I had appropriate expertise in that subject area. And once I gave it enough context with appropriate expertise on my behalf, then the LLM was giving me really solid responses. So I think if you're going to try and hire people that kind of don't know their domain, don't really know what they're doing, and they're just going to kind of vibe code their way through it, I think that you're going to be in for some very big surprises and maybe some disappointments if that's how you try and do it. So I recommend getting people with deep domain expertise and trying to skill them up on some data and AI and machine learning skills. By the way, if you're serious about using AI in your business, you probably want to figure out if you're ready to start using AI. So find the link in the description below and go take my AI readiness assessment. It's about 16 questions. It'll take you only a few minutes. It's free. So find the link in the description below and evaluate how ready your business is to use AI effectively. The next layer of AI readiness, leadership. AI transformation is going to need business leaders that have strong business acumen, but also understand the technical possibilities with respect to AI. So, one of the most important things, and I've talked about this a lot in the past, is that executives are going to need to be able to connect AI pilots and projects to business metrics or business goals. This is actually the first part of almost every AI project and a sound AI strategy. You need to figure out what problems you're solving and then identify the metrics that you're trying to drive with your system. If you can't identify the specific problem and the specific metric or metrics that you're trying to improve with your AI system, it's probably not going to work out very well. And executives are going to need to lead that process. Second, executives are going to need to understand what AI can and cannot do. All the time, right now, I am hearing executives have very unreal expectations about what AI can or can't do. I've had quite a few people ask me if I could build an AI agent that's going to predict stock market prices. I promise you, if I was able to predict stock market prices with AI, I probably wouldn't be making YouTube videos. I'd probably be driving my Ferrari through the streets of Rome. So I'm joking a little bit, but what I'm getting at is that you can't have unrealistic expectations. AI is good at certain things and bad at other things. So leaders need to have a practical understanding of what AI can do inside of a business. And maybe a little bit more specifically, leaders need to understand the different types of AI. There are different types like predictive systems, there are large language models and chatbots, AI agents. There's also unsupervised learning and so on. There's a variety of different techniques, and each one is like a tool that solves a particular set of business problems. And if you try and use, for example, a large language model to make precise predictions, you're probably going to make a ton of mistakes. So you need to understand which tools solve which problems. And when you have leaders that understand the possibilities, that are able to figure out the business problems they want to solve, identify the metrics, connect the right tool to the problem and the metric and so on, then building out a AI strategy in a particular area of a business or a more broad AI strategy for the entire business is going to require leaders that can choose focus areas where AI can drive real leverage and results, and understanding where AI is really just going to be a distraction or hype. And this brings us to our last layer of AI readiness, business integration and value generation. So collectively, you're going to need the data and the people and the leadership to be able to make appropriate decisions about where and how to use AI. And you're going to need to be able to do that successfully, repeatedly, and at scale. Can your business identify the appropriate areas to deploy AI? Can you use it in marketing or product or operations? And if you can use it in those areas, how exactly? And once you identify those use cases, after you've identified the appropriate metrics, can you actually build the system and then deploy those things so that they work and so they're integrated inside of your business workflows and decision-making workflows? You'll also need to be able to set up feedback loops so you're getting information about how well those systems are performing, how they're driving the metrics that you intend to improve, taking the appropriate measurements, recording that information, and then having processes to evaluate system performance over time to make sure that they're doing what they need to do and to make sure that you're improving them appropriately so that they continue driving business results. So ultimately, this business integration level is going to require all of the other things that I already talked about previously, the data, the people, the leadership, and so on, working towards actual implementation. And your company's ability to do that or not is indicative of its readiness in this final business integration area. Getting your business ready for AI is obviously really important, but it's actually just step one. The real winners of the AI era are going to be the companies that build their entire organization around intelligence, data, and automation. So in this next video, I'll show you how AI first companies are going to be the big winners of the AI age. Check it out here.